Here's how to replace the front brake pads on a 2021 Mini Cooper S. So the first thing you want to do is obviously take the wheel off. They are not studs, so be careful. The wheel will fall off if it angles weird while you're taking it off. But first step would be taking the wheel off. Second step would be taking the slide pin bolts out, which I will do here in a second. So you're going to want to remove the wear sensor as well off the brake pad. Just pull it out. This one is getting replaced, or has been replaced, which is pretty simple. Just got to move the fender liner out the way. It's going to be this first connector right here. Then you're just going to want to reroute it the way that it was routed, and that's how you replace that sensor. This is the setup I have going. I had to use a 13mm to break loose these bolts, but the slide pin kept spinning when I tried to break it loose, so I'm just using some vice grips to hold this and ratchet this out at the same time. Once you have the two bolts off, you're going to have to pull the caliper off. That should give you access to your brake pads. I would not recommend just throwing brake pads on without replacing the rotors or cutting the rotors, or your rotors will end up looking a little something like this. You don't want to let your caliper hang for too long, or at all really. So I picked up one of these handy dandy caliper hangers from O'Reilly's. It was around $10 for a pack of 2. Next step is going to be removing the bracket holder, or the bracket bolts, which are right here and this one right here. Once you have the two bracket bolts off, you'll be able to take off the bracket and the brake pads. I believe those were 18mm and they were on pretty tight, so I recommend having a breaker bar in hand, or maybe the pole off your jack will work as well to use leverage. After the bracket off, you're going to want to take off the Allen that was right here. I believe it's a 6mm. Once you have that off, you'll be able to take the rotor off, put the new one on, and then you want to make sure to put that Allen back on there, the Allen bolt. Once you have that Allen on there, you're going to want to clean the surface of the rotor, just because there's oils on there to keep it from rusting in the packaging. So you're going to want to clean that off with some brake cleaner, front and back. Once you've done that, you are ready to do some prep work before everything goes back on. Once you have the bracket off, you're going to want to take the slide pins out, both of them. You're going to want to clean them off with the rag, and then you're going to want to re-grease them. I have some brake parts lubricant here. This stuff works, or you can use some Silglide. That also works as well. Once you have them greased up, you want to put them back in the same spot that you got them from. You don't want to go crazy with the grease. Here I put a little too much, but that's alright. You want to put just a thin layer and you should be good. And if you have some shims, make sure you put some grease on in the inner part right here and on all 4 corners, so that the brake pad can move freely. Once you've re-greased everything, you're going to want to put the bracket back on, and then your brake pads, and then I will show you how to compress the piston. So this is what I use to compress the pistons. This is probably one of my favorite tools for brake jobs. Basically, you will put it on just like that. This will hook, this black part right here will hook onto one of these little pointy parts on the caliper, and then the trigger will compress it for you. This will just go up against the piston and it'll retract it inwards. If you don't have that, you can use a C-clamp, same concept, but you would use the old brake pad right here, and then the C-clamp would go like this. Once you've compressed the piston enough, this will just slide right on, and then you'll put the 2 bolts that were here for the slide pins, and then you will want to connect your wear sensor. You do not want to forget that. Or your wear sensor will end up like this, and then you'll have your brake light on all the time. Your wear sensor will just clip on like this. There you go, just like that. Once you're done, put your wheel back on, make sure you tighten it in a star pattern, and then make sure you torque your wheels to the proper torque spec, also in a star pattern. And that is the exact same process for the left hand, or sorry, the other side. And then the rear is also going to be the same process. You're going to take these off. Once you have this off, the caliper will come off, and then you'll be able to take off the bracket bolts right here, and then the other one's right above there. So I will show you that in a second. So the rears are going to be 14 millimeters for the two slide pin bolts. You're going to want to make sure your parking brake isn't on, or else you're not going to be able to get this off. For the bracket bolts, it'll be an E14, which is an inverted Torx. So you will need to get that socket if you don't have it, or else you will not be able to take off the rotor. To retract the rear caliper, you will be needing a special tool. This is a brake caliper set, retractor set that I bought from Harbor Freight. Works perfect, and this is the size you will be needing from this set. You could try and use the little cube that they sell at O'Reilly's, but it will take you a lot longer, and your knuckles are going to be hurting. So this is how you set it up. You got this little thing right here that'll pull back that so that it creates some pressure here, and then you'll twist with the handle and it'll turn that, and it'll turn the caliper, I mean not the caliper, but the piston, and it'll retract it inwards. One thing I almost forgot, you want to clean that boot off to make sure that the boot doesn't tear while you turn it. If it's got dirt or if it's not broken loose before you start turning it, it will twist the boot and it will tear it, and that is no good. I have the bracket off now. Now that you have the bracket off, you're going to want to do the same thing as the front. Clean the slide pins off and re-grease them. The rear has shims, so you're going to want to put some grease in here and in here, as well as up here and up here. Once you've greased everything up, you're going to want to put those E-Torx back on, tighten them down, torque them to spec. And then one thing I forgot to mention, when you retract this, you're going to want to make sure you pay attention to where it's sitting before you retract it, so you can set it right where it was before. It'll just make it easier to slide back on, and you won't be fighting the piston trying to get this back on. Once you're done, once you have everything back on, you're done and you are ready to put the wheel back on. Make sure you tighten that Allen down as well, and clean off the rotor if you're replacing with brand new rotors.